my blood's already out of season. So unwanted even by myself. Tell me what the hell, what the hell. I don't like what's at my core. Pray to God to fix my soul. But I don't need God's forgiveness, I need yours.
I'm crazy.
Watch the pot get spilled. You can kill or you can be killed. It doesn't really matter what I feel. I would rather fake than make the pain real. Oh, take that smirk, wipe it off your face. So you would do the same shit if it let you change your fate. If life is nothing but an endless race, you bet your ass I'm getting first place. Please somebody get me out of here. Please somebody, won't you get me out of here? Oh, you can get me out of here. Yeah, that's right, let your dreams take flight. Watch the line go up, until it breaks right through. Close a hole through you, you can feel it up, feel it up, feel it up until the meat will slide off the bone so nice you can eat it up, eat it up, eat until you're full of life. It's a goddamn vibe, baby, fuck it up, fuck it up, fuck. Oh, we can fuck until the sun burns out. We can rock for clout. Upon your hill, I live apart from love and goodwill. And when the pain comes calling for my head, yeah, I would rather hurt than be happy and dead. Oh, fuck your frown, baby, spare your grace. Now I'm wearing my crown, perfect framing of my face. All the details surgically replaced. It's a crying shame, a pathetic disgrace. Please somebody get me out of here. Please somebody, won't you get me out of here? Oh, I'm not getting out of here.
Let's go.
That's right, let your dreams take flight. Watch the line go up, up. Oh, take that smart puppet off your face, so you would do the same shit if it let you change your fate. If life is nothing but an endless race, you bet your ass I'm getting first place. Please somebody get me out of here. Please somebody, won't you get me out of here? Oh, you can get me out of here.
Hello, everybody. We're going to be playing some Alien Isolation. I have never ever played this game before. I mean, okay, I played like the first like 5 minutes like years ago, but aside from that, I have not properly played it. I did watch the Ensign playing the VR version of the game. Hello. But I don't feel like that gives me enough of like information on what to go off of, because it's mostly just Neo fucking with Ensign, so I'm still in the Funger category. Okay, let me fix that. Alien Isolation. There we go. Surprising amount of viewers for this game, honestly. Guess it's just, I mean, it makes sense, it's October and stuff. Recommended way to experience the game: challenging and terrifying. Well, maybe, hopefully I'll be able to change it if it's too hard. But it says it's recommended, so I'll go with the recommended. I mean, I've been playing Fear and Hunger, so it's not like I'm not accustomed to dealing with cock and ball torture. So not too afraid. An association with 20th Century Fox. Me with WoW and Zenless right now, the CBT thing. I mean, yeah, real. Gotta get that grind fest on. If you want real CBT, boot up WoW Classic. You would hate that game so fucking much. It is mean. What the fuck did I just come into? Technically, I'm playing classic quests. Yeah, but like, the like World of Warcraft Classic, like, so you will have like the modern gameplay stuff with the classic quests, but if you do WoW Classic, you have like the gameplay as well, the like 2004 MMO design, and where the game is like a lot more mean. Also, you walked into Alien. That's what you walked into. Now, if you want to, okay, yeah, you know what, fair enough. Well, come on, it's my stream, so could you be really surprised that I'd be talking about CBT on here? So I realized my little talkie's kind of cutting off my chat, so let me fix that. Game is quiet, can't hear a game. That's because I have my desktop audio muted.
The company wants it to be collected as soon as possible. Sevastopol's a supply depot in the region. It's a permanent free port facility.
I know what it is.
Transit's arranged. There's a courier ship called the Torrens heading out that way in 2 days. We're going to travel out.
We?
Me and another exec. And you, if you're willing. Look, Ripley, when this job came across my desk...
Wow, isn't that the guy who made the movie?
I know why you're working in the region where she went missing.
This is British the man.
Aren't you?
Well, it's space, you know. It's like that's how you know it's like exotic.
If you want to come
Is you give them the you give them a British accent, and immediately it's like, you know, this is the future. This is sci-fi.
Closure for you.
Same thing with fantasy. Like you want your shit to sound fantasy, give them like a Cockney accent. Oh, am I playing the video game? Dude, waking up from like cyber sleep or whatever must be like the most groggy shit ever. Like, I feel like shit when I wake up from like 8 hours of sleep or something like that. Like crawling out of a little like excuse me, a little thing like this would basically be like, I don't know, fucking having one of those naps where you like don't mean to fall asleep and end up passing out, and like you open your eyes and it's dark out and shit and you're like sweaty. You feel like the fear of God in your chest. Yo. Frank Herman, War in Totality. Yo. The man. The naps where you wake up chained to the wall. Exactly. Yo, is that a foot? Yeah. Yeah, you would immediately point that one out. See, that's how you know, like, they were too afraid to, like, give her bush, but they gave her the grippers, so, you know. Don't know where I'm going with that one, actually. Objective updated. Get dressed. Poor man's bush. Feet really is the poor man's bush. Sorry, gotta take away the grippers. Well, we got some kicks. Wow. Sorry, I'm still trying to get over cyber sleep. That's what it is. You're having a little cyber nap. You're having a little like little futuristic, you know, Betty by time. Verlaine, you on the lookout for a navigational officer? I have a friend that just lost his ship and he's looking for work. I can vouch for him. He's got good papers. Same old story. The megacorps undercut him, picked up all his clients. Contracts are getting harder to come by for the smaller companies. I'm thinking of getting out myself while I still have something to sell. Sounds like you're doing okay, though. Drop by the docks. Heard you just shipped out. Sevastopol. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Sevastopol, is that how you pronounce it? What a shithole. Still, I hear Weyland-Yutani pay well. For now, it's Sevastopol. Sevastopol. Good luck to you. If you can't beat them, right? Let's catch up when you get back, Blaine. See, like, you know, whoop, didn't mean to pause it. You know, it's like we're trying to go for, like, you know, a little bit of a, like, Weyland-Yutani is like a big, you know, megacorp or whatever. It's like a dystopian future, but like I feel like it's understated, you know. I feel like Weyland-Yutani in comparison to certain other corporations that exist within the world is like, they're like, you know, not as actually bad. Like, I mean, sure, we were supposed to have like anti-monopoly laws and stuff like that, but like, that's, you know, wait, why am I showering with my clothes on? Hold up. I didn't realize, what the why? You fucking freak. Okay, that's fine. But like that's like the problem I always have with like, you know, your dystopian like futures and stuff. It's never like as bad as it is like compared to how it is in the real world, you know? Like Wayland Yutani makes Amazon look like capitalism works. Or like vice versa, you know what I mean? I want to save, yes. Like if it was Amazon, you would already have like a warehouse full of like alien hatcheries and stuff like that. You would have like, and they wouldn't even be like necessarily like trying to hide it or whatever. It wouldn't be conspiracy. No, they would just be like, hey guys, check it out. In your local town, we've just opened up an alien hatchery. Come on in. We'll first face huggers free. They'd be shilling the alien poop as skincare, yeah. Yeah, because they have a horrible public image with Wayland Yutani, but people are just complacent with Amazon's evil asses. Yeah, exactly. Hello.
Taylor, good morning.
Ripley, it's certainly not good. I very much doubt it's morning either. Sorry. I feel like death. I don't know how you people put up with hypersleep regularly.
You get used to it.
I don't do long haul very often. Most legal execs don't travel further than the coffee machine.
I'm surprised Wayland Yutani felt the need to send legal at all.
The loss of the Nostromo and its cargo cost the company a lot of money. It's important we find out what happened. If I can close the case with a conclusive accident report, it'll look great with my superiors.
I put subtitles so I can talk over some of the dialogue. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's talking about how groggy she is and shit. Like, that would fucking suck. I would hate waking up from cybersleep. So let me turn off some of the film grain a bit. It's a little much.
That was insensitive. I realized
You have to say no Bezos if you talk smack on Amazon. They own Twitch, so you
It's
know
okay.
you don't mean them.
We'll both get what we
Listen,
want, right?
they're my bosses.
Have you seen
You know,
someone else?
we work together.
He's probably been up for hours.
I'll catch up with him.
You really like cybersleep. Yo, she got the nudie mags and the blurry tapes. It's Cairo Sleep Eye. It's cyber sleep. It's the future. Everything's cyber. Got your high-tech naps. Your fucking like I don't know, your virtual bedtime. Taking my cyber shower. Yeah, exactly. That's what I did earlier. That's why I showered with the clothes on. That's a cyber shower. Yo. Got some fucking guitar music. Play I forgot the artist's name that came to mind that like I like that does like very stripped back simple guitar music, and I was gonna say Ralph Bakshi, and that is not correct. Ralph Bakshi, my favorite guitarist. I keep on exploring the ship. I do love Elliott Smith. No, Elliott Smith makes the sad boy like music. I'm talking about like some like fucking some obscure shit that like nobody knows about. The fuck? Oh, you know, I'm just gonna look it up. American primitivism music. It's fucking. It's like some motherfucker that like in his time he was like obscure. He only Robbie Basho. Robbie Basho. That's who I'm talking about. I've played it on like, oh, not Sufjan Stevens. No. Gay music, man. No, I'm talking about a motherfucker like whose music sounds like some shit that you would hear like you would go to like a like obscure or not obscure like a small town in the mountains, and there's like some dude with just like a big beard just strumming away at his guitar. Like that's how it sounds. I just left the shower on. You know what? Fuck it. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Sufjan Stevens. I can't say anything because I was struggling. I was confused if I was pronouncing Sevastopol right, so whatever. Sufjan. Yeah, no, it's Sufjan. God, I wish I could play like Sufjan Stevens on stream and stuff. Like that would be my intro music. I'd play like Mystery of Love or some shit like that. Like that's how you know. Do you pronounce January like January? Sufjan Sufjan Stevens. Sufjan Stevens. Johnny.
Ah, Ripley.
Samuels, did you wake up early?
Sufjan.
Well, I don't really need
Sufjan. Fuck, I can't get January out of my fucking head now.
a well-maintained ship. I realize it's a very similar model to...
The Nostromo.
Yes, M-class.
We're all like, there is a gas leak in my
worked
fucking
engineering
chat,
jobs on
like, and
ships
it's
like
affecting me right now. So don't worry about don't worry about it.
She's not a seasoned traveler. Hypersleep may have been punishing for her.
We talked. She seems
A gas
nervous.
leak, it's true.
I hadn't noticed. She's a skilled executive, though. Should help us with any legal issues we might encounter.
You and I. Well, I shan't. Yeah, you shan't. Don't.
Looks like we're up.
Like, stop while you're ahead. Oh no! No, my penis! No! It's fucked up that if you cover Bird Brain, they come to your house and like chop off your penis. Like it's mandated. I'm not going over there. I want to go up. I want to progress. I want to see an alien. Oh, like this is not progression. Wait, free bottom surgery though. That's true. That's true. Yeah, Jamie Page personally shows up to your house and gives you bottom surgery. This man, this god. If I wanted bottom surgery, I'd do it. Yeah, exactly. Why turn it up? Like turn it down. Turn it up. Why turn it up? They should have said chicken had its penis head cut off instead of its actual like noggin. Yeah, it should have sounded like a YouTube poop or something like that. Nostromo incident. Hey Taylor, I got your case request. Might take a while to dig out the files, and the incident happened before my time at the company, so I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. In 2122, the Weyland-Yutani cargo vessel, the USCSS Nostromo, went missing. No trace was found of its cargo or crew, apart from the new silence officer. The rest of the crew had worked together before, 7 in all. Dallas Captain, Ash Science Officer, Kane, or was it Kane? Executive Officer, Ripley, Warrant Officer, Lambert, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I know those guys. I know those guys from the movie. What? No. Share. Let's see. Outbound return transportation for Wayland Yutani retrieval team to Sevastopol Station. Team consists of people. Yeah. Long haul cyber sleep chamber. Commercial passenger cargo ship retrofitted from a tow rig. Retains operational heavy duty tow umbilical. No. Cause, or was it Cosm? Tomato ketchup. Is this the same room from before? Yeah, it is. Okay. Am I even going the right way? Yeah, let's just take a bunch of scrap from this random box, whatever, just shove it in my pocket. Who cares?
Hope you all had a restful journey.
The Torrens is in.
Yo, space
She was a
fancy
wreck when I
shirt.
bought her. Took a few years and a lot of contracts to refit.
She got that like
You said we're approaching
grandma's carpet fit on right now.
docking.
I'd wear
I
it.
believe your contact is Marshall Waits, is that right? I'll hail Sevastopol and
You'd
arrange
know
a
I'd
meeting
wear
with
it.
him.
Good. Let's get this done.
Don't worry, Miss Taylor. Routine. In and out. Connor, how we doing?
SMG loaded and calibrated. Approach vector locked.
Prep comm so I can say hello.
Channel open, Captain.
Does everyone have their briefing documents?
You can watch the approach on the monitors.
Gotta collect my briefing document. Yo, I love this room. I love the alien technology so much. I like all the little lights and like the dials and shit. Like none of it means anything. It's great. But how do I get out? How do I stand up? Wait a minute. Just got that professor archaeologist who gotta go to the gym after this type fit. True. What? Okay, there we go. I think it's... I just can't stand in this room for some reason. But I can stand as soon as I get out. Wow. Space. It would be kind of fun to like be on a space station and just like look out a window of just like nothingness. Just like a bunch of stars. I feel like that'd be a vibe. Okay. Okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to get my documents. I did it! That was the first mission! This game's fucking easy. What are people talking about?
Can we see it?
Switch to monitors. Sevastopol Station.
Like, this is supposed to be a scary game? Like, what the fuck? I just, like, walked around and I took, like, a cyber shower.
Punch up 74, tight angle.
I grabbed some cyber scrap.
Looks like the dry dock bay is screwed.
I can't bring the Torrens into that.
This is a commercial vessel, Torrens out of St. Clair, registration number MSV7760, calling Sevastopol Traffic Control. We're carrying 3 passengers on a Wayland.
Yutani Bond, you're holding the Nostromo flight recorder unit. We request immediate permission to transfer the passengers port side over.
This Waits, Colonial Marshal, Sevastopol Station. Serious situation.
Hello, Marshal? Marshal, this is the Torrens. Say again? The station's comms seem pretty screwed up, so I fitted Samuel's suit with a radio booster. I can only keep the Torrens in transit for 24 hours.
You'll have heard from us by then.
Safe trip.
Stand by. My contract doesn't cover bloody spacewalks. It's the only option, and it's perfectly safe if you do what I tell you. Depressurizing. Oh, fuck. Hating this. Just shadow me, Taylor. You too, Samuels.
Affirmative.
Fuck happened here? My God, Ripley. You're doing good, Taylor. Just keep moving.
Taylor, Ripley, hold on.
This would happen to me, honestly. I'd be like nervous as hell, like, nah, man, I don't like this shit. This shit fucking sucks. Get me out of here. Everyone would be like, no, it's cool, relax, just chill. And then immediately a fucking explosion would happen. I made it inside. So did my homie just like die? Was that what that was? Did he just get flung off into space? Well, rip to that guy, I guess. I also feel like I wouldn't be taking off my my spacesuit at this rate. I would like, I don't know. I feel like I would want the safety of like whatever armor it could provide. This shit's spooky as hell. Yum, yum, yum.
Oh.
Like, especially after this, like, go put your suit back on. Like a map or anything. Sometimes you really do. If I would just win, listen. I'm afraid. Like, I'm a coward. Like, in real life, I'm a coward. And I would feel safe behind a big, cushy suit. Yeah, who the fuck is Goose? That the Goose? Right, no Goose here. Silly one. Right, no silly Goose, I'm serious. I just went in a circle. I can save my game. Like, shit's on fire! Your suit might protect you against a little bit of fire, you know? If you were a deer in the Paleolithic, I would persistent stalk you until you collapse from exhaustion. Yeah. That was fair. That's understandable. Yo. Give me this ethanol. I need it. Computer. Sevastolink. Folder corrupted. Wow. So, boys and girls, you probably heard the whispers about Sevastopol by now. I confirm it's official. Sevastopol is being decommissioned. We'll go over each of you what this means in regards to your contracts and next placement. But for now, we still have a job to do. The suits wants us done with a skeleton crew, which means we'll only be getting a few outside contractors to help. But it doesn't mean overtime. I recommend taking what you can while it's available. I should point out that decommission does not mean lucky dip. Everything here has to be accounted for, and I will personally escort anyone found helping themselves to equipment to marshal waits. What a narc. Let people, like, pocket a few, like, gizmos and gadgets. Like, what's the harm? That actually scared me a little.
God damn.
How do I use that flare?
Help.
Mouse to select, R to activate. No, not the environmental storytelling. Someone you knew. You always know Working Joe. Wait, what's over here? Can I go over there? Can. You can go up here, or you can go through here. I'm gonna go further into the conveyor belt. Maybe I can get, like, my bones crushed by some sort of, like a luggage device. Got that coughing baby Riz right now. Okay, let's head up. Yo, an injector. Let me listen to some tunes.
Hello? Anyone here?
I might be a little bit crazy, but the game does feel a little bit fuzzy for me. It doesn't seem like there's any settings that would necessarily help with that. Maybe if I turn this... No, standard. Volumetric lighting. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that can necessarily help with that. I think that's just how the game looks. That's okay. Maybe the bloom, yeah, let me... I don't want to spend too much time here. Turn down the film grain a little bit more. Could be the depth of field. That's fine. Like, it almost looks like I have, like, DLSS on or something like that. It might be, like, a NVIDIA thing. I mean, as long as it looks fine on the stream, I don't really care. Passcode required. Oh, you can't even try without the fucking passcode. I was just gonna start trying to brute force it a little bit. Forgotten. F you. Tomorrow. Together. No future. Tomorrow, no. Together, future. Welcome to the end of the line.
Doesn't anything here work?
E. Oh, I have to tap it. Okay, do I have to keep doing this, or can I pull away from it? Nope, I do. Cool. Save game. More lore. Langley, if you're looking for our stash, I've moved it. You left it right out in the open where anyone else could have taken it. Jesus, do you know what I had to do to get it? I've hid it in one of the storerooms. You should be able to find it. The code is 0340. Don't worry, no one goes down to the terminal anymore. Not after what happened. Also, we're out of meds, low on water, so you're gonna have to get some. It's your turn. Maybe it'll teach you to take care of your stuff in the future. Goodbye from Sigson. Had a long journey together, but sadly coming to an end. Sigson Corp would like to take the opportunity to thank you all for worked and lived at Sevastopol over the years, and hopes that Sigson helped to make it productive and rewarding environment. Our investment and belief in the station never wavered. Be assured that Sigson's Apollo Central AI and working Joe androids will be there to serve Sevastopol until the last rivet is removed. We wish you all the very best in the future. After all, Sevastopol isn't a station, it's a people. Harris? Turner, get back here now. We have a track somewhere in engineering. Lock the terminal down, kill the power, and don't forget your reports. Make them thorough. We're gonna need our paperwork to be bulletproof when this shit is over. Waits out. If you were a crinoid from the Cambrian explosion, I would find your fossilized remains compacted in the silt and sediment and place you on my mantle as my prized possession. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Sort target departures. Doke. Well, I got a code. Interesting message going on. Oh, is this alien annihilation? It is. It is annihilation. 0 something 0 3 8 0. No, it's so like in your journal. It is. It is. Oh, there it is. 040. Okay. 0 3 4 0. Let me in. Drake voice gaslying as usual. Yeah, crafting. Let's go. Whoa. It's an interesting UI. I did it. Can I make more than one? Yeah. Let's make 2. Just to be safe. I adore the UI for this. It's nuts. Yeah, it seems really cool so far. Check something. Yeah, that should all be good. To get the weird VHS effect, they literally recorded VHS static from old fucked up tapes and lifted it for the effect. Oh, that's sick. Game. So, did I restore the power or what? I did fuck around with this. Okay. I guess I just find another way to go. Man. Sure, this will be very fun to watch me miss something very obvious. Oh, no. Okay. I was like, something to crawl into. It's very fun to watch you miss things. Yeah. Is there like a thing on the terminal that I could activate? Oh, oh, I see. I'm stupid. I had to turn it on the terminal. Whoa, what the fuck? What you guys running from? Hey! Hey, come back! Hello? Okay. Hello, is anybody here? Where are you running from? Okay. Wow. They're just like running. I feel like that'll hurt me.
What the hell happened here?
Yo, I want to go to the gift shop. Cocktail bar? Fuck yeah. You kidding me? Let's go get fucking like twisted. Wow. The Torrens. Let's get stupid. Let's get nasty. Let's get juicing. Let's get sloppy. Let's get disgusting.
God damn it!
Isn't the Torrens a WoW thing? It's true, yeah. They invented bulls. Calm. Clink glug. Ah, oh. Some things are too good to be savored. Buy 2 bottles. Sex on communications. Reaching out to each other. Seg, like it sounds like what like TikTokers and like Redditors call like sex, where they're like oh yeah, don't they have like gay segs in that? What they use to like get like around the like algorithm censorship or whatever. Oh, I think they had segs with each other. Slipknot voice psychos. Gotta mash. I've also seen people do say Gex. Yeah, I've seen that one as well. Instead of, well, haha, you know. I don't know. I'm a visual learner, by the way. I am curious. Let me look at my NVIDIA settings and make sure that it's not like turning my shit into goop. Let's see, graphics, alien. Is there no sort by recent? I mean, it's the most recent game I played, so you know. No, it's not even on here. Okay. I'm tripping. Yo, I got a Borderlands 4 NVIDIA GeForce reward. Wow. I can get a golden key. I'm old, but say Gex pisses me off. Like, just get clocked by the algorithm and piss yourself, coward. Yeah, be like that. Just fucking piss yourself. Like, come on, everybody's doing it. Everybody's like done it 100 times. It's fucking, it's in right now. Haven't you been on Twitter? Yeah, piss in your pants. It's cool to piss your pants. In fact, you're fucking lame if you're not pissing your pants like all the time. Need an ion torch. Did I pick up an ion torch? I think I picked something up over there, but I don't remember if I did. Why not just walk across here? It's cool to fuck bees. Yeah. Yeah, that's the Vine Sauce quote I remember. It's cool to fuck bees. That's how all the get around censorship type language makes me feel. Like you're letting the ghost of the algorithm rule your life. Break your phone and start a farm. Okay, so it's like I kind of get it, like using it on like TikTok or whatever, especially if like your livelihood is based around TikTok. Sure, whatever the fuck. Like talk about say Gex or unaliving or whatever. Wow, spooky. But the part that gets me is like when people start doing it like outside of like TikTok, like they're on Twitter or something like that, or like Blue Sky or some shit. It's like, you're on Twitter, bro. Like there's like card carrying Nazis on Twitter. There's fucking like gore on Twitter. There's all kinds of horrible, evil shit on there. And you're just like being like, but I can't say gay sex. I can't say suicide. I can't. Like, at that point, yeah, you're letting the algorithm's ghost haunt you like a specter. But when I say it, it's funny. Yeah, sure. I mean, like, say it ironically, sure. But, like, I promise. Okay. I believe you. I guess it's just, like, I don't know, a brain rot of its own, where it's like you spend so much time on a certain website and it starts, like, developing your or like influencing your language. Like you see that a lot with like Twitter users too, where they'll start saying like online shit or whatever. It's like it eats your brain. Exactly, yeah. And it's like, I think like, you know, you experience this type of phenomenon like no matter what you spend your time around, because like if you're like a construction worker, you're gonna start like picking up what they're saying. You're gonna start being like a bit more foul-mouthed or whatever. Like it is what it is, you know. Fucks up how you think groupthink is real and scary as fuck, to be honest. I mean, yeah, like we're all social creatures and we adapt to the surroundings that we spend our time within. It's just like, I don't know, take a step back, you know. You can let loose a little. You can, if you're on Discord, if you're in person, if you're in whatever, you can say, you know, you can say certain words. Ironing poisoning is real. Fill your life with things that make you happy instead of trying to be funny about things that make you mad. That's true. That is wisdom. Like, I'm not gonna be here like sitting here and be like, you know, like, you can't be ironic about stuff. You can't be funny. You can't be whatever. But like, there is a certain point where you see a person where they're so wrapped up in that like irony, that like inability to like enjoy things, that it's like all right, man, it'll be okay. You can You can enjoy your, like, your stuff. You can enjoy your Fortnites. You can enjoy your blue protocols. Just, you know, have fun. Have fun and play. Go, you know, feel the sun upon your skin. Feel the touch of another. Go to a mountain and, like, feel the fucking breeze upon your face. Instead of saying on a live say, I'm just a little guy, it's my birthday. You wouldn't hurt a little birthday boy, would you? That's true. Zoe, I'm sorry, but I won't need you to come in next week. As you know, the store's been in trouble for some time now. And I couldn't hold off the creditors any longer. There's just no one coming to Sevastopol anymore. It's just not us either. It sounds like the whole station is in the red and they're pulling the plug. Going to sell it off for scrap, I guess. I was speaking to one of the engineers and he reckons they'll announce it soon. I'm telling you this so you don't stick around looking for another job. Sevastopol's finished. Time to move on. Don't ban me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to post more. Nope, I want to read the other lore. Let me in. To all spaceflight terminal employees, in the interest of public safety and prevention of panic, it must be made clear to all potential passengers that there are currently no scheduled flights leaving Sevastopol, nor ships available. The Colonial Marshals are investigating problems on station and will update accordingly. What is Apollo? Apollo is the central AI that monitors provides guidance for all SAICs and working Joes and on Sevastopol. Apollo also oversees all communications on the station, so wherever you are, know you're in safe hands. Oh yeah, that's cool. I love being watched. Guy who has like an exhibitionism kink who like gets super fucking thrilled at the idea of like Big Brother or whatever. Who's like super thrilled at the idea that like the NSA is like reading his messages and shit. He's like, yeah, NSA agent, read this, haha, yeah.
But instead of the answers we wanted, he continued to be evasive, and after only a few minutes, he and his team were pelted by projectiles from an angry crowd. A gun was fired, there was panic, and now Waits and what's left of his team are forcibly ejecting us from the terminal. Feels like we're on our own now.
I feel like, you know how like small town politics go crazy? Like they're just like, you know, people caring about completely fucking inane bullshit that nobody should care about, but it's a small town. So, you know, you're bored, so you gotta gossip about like your neighbor's like teenage daughter or whatever. You gotta gossip about like the old man who lives alone and his thing. Dude, it must go like crazy. It must go insane if you were living like on a spaceship. Like that must amplify the small town gossip like tenfold. Don't get me started on small town gossip. I'll kill a man. It's fucked up. Yeah. Cup of Joe's. Can I stand up? Game? No, let me. Oh, E, climb out, okay. Especially because, like, you're in a spaceship, so you might have a hard time, like, finding, like, you know, rooms with privacy and stuff. So there's totally gonna be, like, somebody who's just gonna, like, sneak up to a room and just, like, put their ear to the fucking thing and just, like, listen in. Like, fucking doing their best to spy on every private conversation. What else are you gonna do? That makes me think, I wonder if it's like that in like Antarctica and stuff. Like, gossip must go crazy in Antarctica. I've been told that watching me try to figure out games is like watching a dog trying to figure out how to do tricks. This has a light on it. Of course I'd interact with that. And, you know, I'm starting to kind of understand that. Got like 5 pings on Discord. What is happening? Oh, box. Get those What? Come back! You can't just knock some shit over and be spooky and then run away. Huh. Okay. Keep moving. Wait, where did you... Okay, I guess you were hiding like right here and you heard me come. That's cool. Oh, body bag. Trust no one. Oh.
It's gotta be the exit up ahead.
Took me a while, but it's off now. Just fitting the last security brace. Come find me when you've shut yours down, then we can get the hell out of here. Jesus, man, I'm hearing noises everywhere.
Marshals.
Just hurry the fuck up, will you?
Dig it? Oh, dig it. Dig it, dish it, dirt it. F. Wanda reveals all. Okay, I gotta restore power before I can explore anymore in here. Looters will pay. I think I might have heard like my cat Matthew meowing, and I thought that was like coming from the game. Maintenance check required. Yo, this looks like a cozy little setup. Yeah, you can... I'll chill here. Look at my photos. Read about how LaFonda is revealing it all. Well, only one way to go. No, never mind. I figured I could squeeze through this, but I guess not. Only one way to go, and that's back, I think, because I activated the power. Check. Okay, it's people talking about hot pot, which, to be fair, that's a pretty good thing to talk about. Whoa. Okay. That's okay. big dog. Oh, there's a hiding spot here. I don't like that. I don't like that there's a hiding spot here. Oh boy.
First, it's Turner. Gotta deal with that wasted asshole again. This time he nearly wrecked the door with a maintenance jack. Guess he figures it's safe here. Wants to lock himself in. Screw him. We got too much to worry about without babysitting drunks. Anyway, I threw him in the evidence lockup. Let the son of a bitch sleep it off.
Oh, there's also a save here. I don't like it. Yeah. What's the point of this room? Let me back here. Are those to like distract the alien, I assume? I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I'm fine. I'm okay. Whoa.
Oh, fuck.
Gimme. Gimme.
I think I need this more than you do.
He's covered in bugs. How did we get so many bugs here? We're in space. Icky.
Rolo, I want to make a complaint to the highest authority, okay? My name is Zachary Watson. That's Watson. You get that? My complaint is this. The fucking marshals. They should be protecting us. It's their job. Something's on this station with us and no one knows what it is. No one fucking knows. They put braces on the doors. Lockdown. You know, like to keep something out. I'm fucking terrified, man. I'm fucking... Shit. It's so cold. I don't think this fucking thing even works.
I don't know what's on the ship either. I have no idea what it could be.
Interview subject. Heist. Did I say that right? Heist? Look, if you can't even tell me your name, we're gonna be here a hell of a long time. I just want to know about your boss. He's got you all into a lot of trouble. Someone's gonna be accountable. I'm gonna make damn sure someone's accountable. No? Tough guy, huh? Turner, turn off the tape. Maybe our friend here is just...
It's time to play bad cop. We tried our hand at good cop. Now, it's time to rough up the subject a little. Why do you keep doing this whenever I enter a door? Stop that. I'm just walking into a door. You don't need to be like spooky noise. Oh, cutscene time.
Stay still.
Okay.
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 Now, turn around. Come on!
I'm Ripley.
Where'd you come from? Ripley?
Off station. A ship.
There's no ships here!
There are now.
Well, that's good news, because things are not so good here. Something blue just now, rocked this whole place.
I saw it.
But lady, that's the least of our problems.
Yeah?
Yeah. Something's on this station. Something you wouldn't believe.
Like what?
A killer. You get it?
Okay. Okay. What's your name?
Axel.
I was boarding with 2 colleagues. EVA. We got separated by the blast. Can you help me find them?
Why?
Because you seem to know your way around.
No, I mean, why? What's in it for me?
A place on the ship.
How do I know I can trust you?
I need to find comms. I need to contact my ship.
This is your lucky day.
Let's go, sweetheart.
Okay.
16 comms is in the Cystic Spire. It's quite a distance, but we can get to a transit through the freight area. But watch yourself. We can get into all sorts of trouble there, okay?
Come on, Axel. Me and you. We're in this together. We got this.
Come on, I don't want to stick around.
Also, I think my sound might be slightly out of sync for some reason. Yeah, it definitely is. What the fuck's going on? Hopefully it fixes itself, otherwise I'll just have to load. I'll check next save.
Following me back there?
Had to keep my distance. Can't take any chances. Stick close to me.
What?
Hello.
Hey, don't move.
Whoa.
Oh, okay, okay. We're not
In fact, the whole
in trouble.
game feels a
Who
little
are you?
weirdly sluggish right now.
This is Ringo. You're just some assholes. We haven't got time for this. Come on, Jenna.
We're trying to get to comms. Can you help us?
We don't need their help.
Yeah, wait, their lips aren't moving. What is going on? Why is my game fucked up?
Don't tell them anything. Look, I've got the elevator working. Jenna, let's go, okay?
I'm sorry. Good luck. Watch yourselves up ahead. I heard noises down there.
What if I turn VSync on? Bye.
What the hell was that about? Why are you so damn aggressive?
Everyone's running shit scared, keeping to their own. Safer that way.
Tomorrow, no. Together, future. On our way back to Thetis, toast your return with Davenport Rye.
I hope this ship of yours is the real McCoy.
Alien station. Okay, maybe it's... I'm reading that people are saying that it might be a depth of field bug, so let me go and remove that real quick. Oh yeah, that seems better already. Weird. Chromatic aberration. Didn't really seem to change much.
Hold up. Let me get the elevator. Allow me. Place is old. Needs a special touch. Well, what are you waiting for?
You got the Cup of Joe's smile.
Ah. Noise down here. There might be people around.
I'd appreciate it if you told me what the hell was going on. Right now.
Listen, darling. When we get to the ship...
Bro, yeah, why are you being so cryptid? Cryptid. God.
Yeah, when
Cryptic.
We get to my ship, I need to know what's going on. Right fucking now.
Fine. Like I said, there's a killer.
A killer? What does that even mean?
I ain't seen it, but it's here. Picking us off one by one.
What are you saying? A psycho? A person?
No, something else. A monster.
Monster. Hello. Don't shoot me. Okay. I'm sorry.
We won't tell you again.
Okay. Get off of me. Ah! Oh, what's happening? Stop it. Hello? Help. Okay.
Over there. Someone's here.
I can't move. Oh! Yeah, I know. It's your fucking fault that I'm getting shot. Hurry up!
Friends of yours?
I've had run-ins with those guys before. They don't like strangers, even nice guys like me.
I'm shocked.
I ain't pulling your chain, darling. You want to go and say hello? It's your funeral. Those guns aren't for show.
Yeah, I know.
Someone
They
should be
shot me
doing
multiple
something.
times.
It's called surviving. Everyone's turning on each other. The fear, it makes people crazy.
The fear.
I've noticed. You've been living here?
Oh, that's terrible. Why can you do that? Ah! Oh, no.
Been hunkered down here for a week now, waiting for a ship. Waiting for you, I guess.
Yo, you got a little setup here. Reading about brains, comics. Like, yeah,
It
man.
can get pretty dark around here. You should take that flashlight over there.
Okay.
Make sure you're stocked up on batteries.
Yeah, spooky flashlight.
Just be careful not to flash it around. We don't want to get caught.
You have to reload the flashlight. That's crazy. Give me the batteries. And let me save. Gotta climb in.
What now?
I'll watch the vent. There's another vent round here somewhere. I marked it so I wouldn't forget it.
I think if I remember correctly, like one of the few things I remember is that alien don't like fire. So I should probably hold on to my flares for that. Use your flashlight sparingly. Batteries are in short supply.
Is this it?
Yeah, you can see in the dark fine. That's kind of suspicious, huh? Why are you bald as well? Are you some kind of android? You some kind of robot, Axel? Is there something you're not telling me? Oh, where'd you go? Oh.
It's not smart to stay here too long.
Is the way everyone travels around here?
Just those that want to stay alive, sweetheart. Torrens, so that's your ship.
Can I have your gun?
Quiet. I hear something.
The man.
Yeah, I hear you. Will do. Gotta go meet the others. Something's going down.
There's always something going down.
Come on. We don't want to piss him off.
Follow me.
Don't mind me, I'm just gonna save.
Okay. Hey, gotta be quiet here. Don't shine that flashlight.
I'll go over here first. Wait, no! Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to do that. I thought that was gonna open the door. Hey. I'm cool. I'm quiet.
What's the emergency? Someone else has been here. Everyone, stay in the guns tight. Shoot anyone you don't know. Stick around while I check our stock.
You know what? I'm ready. I'm gonna kill a man today.
Take on?
Okay.
How?
That's okay. You didn't notice anything. Don't worry about it. They're like all looking at the fucking flare like they're ah! Like they're the dogs looking at the battery. Hello? You can't shoot me through that. Oh god. Ow. Ow, he's got a shotgun. Ah! Can I not like fist fight you? Ah! Ow! Oh, I'm dead. Well, you know, that's okay. Hey, what's up? Let's make sure to not activate a flare by accident this time. Hello. Take some tea. Thank you.
What's the emergency? Someone else has been here. Everyone, stay alert. Keep shoot anyone you don't know. Stick around while I check our stock.
Don't mind me, I'm just gonna sneak on by. Oh wow, your flashlight runs out fucking fast. Find a way to distract the looters. Well, I'll just turn this off. And this fin.
Check it out. Everyone with me.
Something about the way you just stick your head out a little like gingerly is so cute. It's like a little creature sticking their head out of like a hole.
Nice work, Ripley. This way. Let's keep it down. They're still close by. Follow me.
How much further?
You're expecting, eh?
Oh, you know.
My shipping out papers.
I'm not even supposed to be here. I hope I don't jack off. Managed to get my hands on the stuff I was talking about. Chief wouldn't notice the stock missing. Things always get lost when the station's closing down. Don't worry about customs either. Sinclair's told me his men turn a blind eye. They'd probably be too busy goofing off or taking backhanders to notice anyway. Get what you pay for, I guess. Whoa. 4 aspirin. 4 aspirin. 32 canned food. Cereal, 6 boxes. Try my recipe, boy. Make anything off? Damn, only 26 things of toilet paper though. That hope there's nobody with IBS on the fucking crew. Oh, there's another one. Nearson, Leonard, you're both first shift on the door, so read carefully. Putting this together wasn't easy. We don't want intruders getting in because you didn't read the instructions properly. We don't want intruders because blah 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 blah. This here is what you call a two-man rule lock. This means it means two to open the door simultaneously from two different consoles. Most of us don't know each other, so this is the safest way of making sure everything stays secure. None of us decide to head off on their own with our stuff. When you're on shift, take turns to keep guard and notify the other if one of us needs to be let in or out. That means just us, no one else, no matter how much anyone begs, no matter what sob story they try and pull. I was with a group and we got soft and now I'm the only one left. Trust no one. Seems like a good time.
It's powered down. The assholes have cut us off. Got it. We need to activate both consoles at the same time to open it. I'll do this one. You go to the one on the other side.
Okay.
Okay, haha. Okay, I got you. I could do that. That sounds pretty easy. Nothing's gonna go wrong. I'm not gonna see you get like impaled or anything on this other side, am I?
Ready. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Axel, behind you.
What?
Oh, I have to save him. I was like, I was just gonna watch him fucking die. I've got you.
Get the fuck.
Holy fuck.
Fuck.
Let's go. The others are on their way. We need to go now. Hey, you bastard! Move it.
We killed your dweeby ass friend. Suck my fucking cock.
Come on!
You killed that guy!
Because he was going to kill me, you saved my life. This is about survival. Do you understand? You hear something? I hear something.
Axel?
Fuck have I got on me?
Axel, no! Holy fuck, you got pulled into the gore room. Hey, Axel, you okay in there? Are you okay in there?
Keep moving.
No, Axel. Axel, talk to me, man. Axel. Okay, I'll come back to get you. I love you. This blurriness is fucking weird, dude. Just turn that all off. Let me try putting this in full screen to see if that fixes it all. Yeah, because like I noticed it doesn't seem like the blurriness is happening on stream. It's just for me, which is like fine. Like as long as the stream looks good, I'm not too worried about it. It's like that cutscene in particular looked really rough. I don't know, maybe this game is just a little weird like that. That's okay. I need to stop fussing over it. Oh, can't go this way. Ooh, thank you. Got tea in the bear cup. Oh, today. Oh. Oh. Is there anybody here? Oh. I just saw the old man get dragged into a hole and turn into slime. Wait a minute. It does kind of feel like it might be the chromatic aberration because of like how these lights are looking for me. I said I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I lied. Okay, never mind. That looks exactly the same. Lighting, maybe? Maybe it's my fucking monitor. That'd actually make the most sense since it looks fine on the stream. Yeah, it looks completely fine on the stream. Looks super fucked up on my end, though. I feel like it's gotta be my monitor. She hit that shit with authority. Whoa. Why? Why the music? Why the music? It's fucking music, man. Why this music? It's the music so fucking... What is happening? Why the strings? Okay, just let me in. Just let me the fuck in. Why is that music so stressful? I was just waiting for a fucking elevator. There's nothing there.
Tech support services, and Gemini exoplanet solutions. Sevastopol transit system.
Well, it's a bunch of transit things I can call. I guess I should probably look around here first. It does seem like the game does have a bit of a tendency to be like, go here first before you unlock an item that can actually open things. Hey, man. Rip that guy. Oh, what? Oh, I guess because there's like another thing I can access up there? Yeah, whatever. A weird shortcut, but sure. No weapons allowed. I don't live by the rules. Think I'm some kind of nerd? Some kind of dweeb who gives a shit about that kind of stuff. I don't follow the rules of this society. I go where I want. Oh shit. Okay. Wait, stand up. Where'd you go? Hello? Okay. Goodbye?
An access tuner. She was trying to hack the elevator's security. Circuits are fried, easy fix. Just need to find a new data cell.
Okay. We find her and we kill her.
Don't do that. I don't want to die.
See anything yet?
I think it's changing the gamma helps at all. Like what it kind of reminds me of, like the issues that I'm having, it kind of reminds me of like whenever you play like something with HDR on when you don't actually have HDR like support on your monitor, so it just becomes like white and blown out. Oh, don't. Hey. You don't see me.
You feel safe? I sure as hell don't.
Can I like sneak attack them? Can I bonk them on the back of the head?
Wait.
Ow! I don't know what I was expecting. Ow! Well, you know. Oh, fuck, I started from all the way over here. Wah.
Station serving seeks and communication technologies, tech support services, and
Whoa.
exoplanet solutions.
Aww. Weird. I don't know what that does per se, but okay. Well, there was no save in here even either, so.
Sorry for the current disruption in services.
Oh, he's now a working Joe. Oh, there's a save right here. I'm stupid. Okay, you don't.
Stay back!
No. No, come back! Oh, they don't let me chase her.
Over here! Someone's here!
An access tuner. She was trying to hack the elevator's security. Circuits are fried, easy fix. Just need to find a new data cell.
Do you really want to take that chance?
find her and we kill her.
This way. She was downstairs.
Whoa.
Quiet.
Ah! We can run. Run! Oh, come on. Yeah, maybe turning this down to normal might not be a bad idea. You die really fast.
Shit! Guys, over here! Someone's here!
No, don't shoot me. Haha.
An access tuner. She was trying to hack the elevator's security. Circuits are fried, easy fix. Just need to find a new data cell.
Okay, there's a map. Okay, we find her and we kill her.
See anything yet?
Why are you all over here?
You noticed it's getting colder?
How was he upstairs last time? Okay, maybe I should just leave. Nope, nope, nope. Let's just... I faded Marutha. It's true. Oh, he's coming this way. Let's just run. Ow! What? Ah, are you kidding me? This fucking game. Did you get killed by a person? Yeah, there's a bunch of people on the station being mean. They shoot you with guns, and the guns don't feel very good.
Shit!
Okay, so it seems like you missed that getting shot there, like, no matter what. That seems to be scripted, so that's good.
Access tuner. She was trying to hack the elevator's security. Circuits are fried, easy fix. Just need to find a new data cell.
Data cell. It didn't even like. He didn't even have like an alert sound like bit when I got caught there, which is kind of annoying. But excuse. What? What the fuck was that? Yo, why the fuck did she scream like that? Oh no! No, I didn't take any damage. She screams like that no matter what. Am I supposed to climb down? No, you're supposed to jump down like that. So why does she scream like that? Why did she sound like that? Why did she go like... It's so funny, dude. What the fuck? Oh, I need a plasma torch. They get through here? Fuck me, okay. Climb through the hole. You don't see me. You know what? Let's sip some tea while waiting for this person to pass by. Yummy, yummy. Can you stop? Voice crack? Don't see me. Question is there sneak attacks in this game? Can I like... Oh, I fucked up. Oh, I fucked up. Fuck it. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. Fuck, ass, fuck, shit. Ow! Fuck. Ah. Oh, I'm so fucked. Do I have my med kit? I do. This rate. Oh. Shit. Didn't see me. Didn't see me. Didn't see me. Ah! God damn it! Why did they make any noise? Make too much noise and you won't track the alien. Yeah, make too much noise and it won't track the fucking person. Ah. Do this session again. I should probably turn down the difficulty. Let's be quieter.
Stay back! Shit! Guys, over here! Someone's here!
Okay, let's grab this. So going over there is a bad idea because I need a plasma cutter to get anywhere.
Security. Circuits are fried. Easy fix. Just need to find a new...
Alright, let's go this way.
Maybe she was just scavenging like us.
Do you really want to take that chance?
Okay. We find her, kill her.
Let's go back.
This way. She was downstairs.
Okay, we're fine. Wait, where's the save thing? Was it down there? So I need to find a battery for this fucking thing. I'm gonna save real quick just so I don't have to do the whole like scripted thing again. I don't know what it means by unstable system or speaker room. I could like turn things off the unstable system and then put things on the speaker room or the speaker system. I don't really know what that means, but okay. Wait, what if I go here? Probably do one more level of this and stop for the night, because I know Gaz wants to stream. And I'll probably make some dinner. I long for more spooky game. Yo, what is going on here? Oh god, what is happening with her spine? That's why she kept screaming. Oh, okay, so this goes back to engineering. Is that where I need to go? So I want to go to the habitation tower. I feel like the thing is maybe in there. Is there a legend that tells me what these... Yeah, there is. Point of interest, okay. I don't know if I want to go back to engineering. I mean, engineering does seem like a place that you would find like a cell for your little thing. But this place seemed also very not safe. Fuck me. Didn't see anything. Didn't see anything. Didn't see anything. Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, I do just kind of like kill these guys for resources, to be honest. Well, you know. Bullets is coming. You know, let's go over here. Let's see what happens if we go down this area. Let me in. Let me go to the tower, whatever the fuck this is. Solomon's habitation tower. Huh. De Lorenz / Tech Spire. Have I been here? Okay, I think I have to go to the other... Yeah, I have to go to the fucking other area. Well, whatever. I'll go wander around here for a little bit and then go back. I doubt I could do much here because I don't really have any of the things that I would open stuff with, so... Device invalid. Yeah, I need the batteries. Keep out? Oh, why would I keep out of there? What's wrong with going in there? You know, the more you tell me to keep out, the more I want to go in there. Wow, sensor. I don't think there's anything I can do here. Nope, I found resources. Oh, wait, there's another area. Oh, it just goes the same as the other one. That's fine. Wait, so where does this one go? That one goes to the spire. Where does this one go? Engineering? Okay, yeah, this one goes to engineering. I'm gonna load. I don't feel like waiting through all those things. Weapons are like tools. You need the right one for the job. Wow. Yeah, maybe I could use a flare as a distraction. I still don't know what it means by, like, speaker system. Like, it said that I could be using that kind of stuff for diversions, but I'm like, how do I do that? Wait, no, that's my health. That's fine.
Something's out there.
Motherfucker. Go somewhere else. Go away. Fuck off. Let me live. Let me live. Live. Ma'am? Ma'am, if you shoot me... Fuck. Oh, there's a guy up there too. God damn it. Is there a thing here? Ah! Why? I'm gonna be real, chat. I don't know what the fuck to do here. Oh, I know. You heard me fucking tromping about.
Anyone else catch that light?
Oh, piss. Throw the... Don't worry about that one. Okay. So it's not over there. It's got the point of interest, so I'm 90% sure I have to go there. Oh, wait, what's this? Okay, device invalid.
What was that?
Right, medkit, use the medkit! Use the medkit, please! Oh. It's very clear what I have to do here. I'm not going to try to get like mad on stream. I mean, I will get mad on stream, but I have to admit I don't like this part very much from just a raw enjoyment standpoint. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Okay, let's try throwing a flare. Question is, how do I throw these bitches? Okay. Y'all go look at the flare. Yeah, go look at the flare. Nope. Sir, go look at the flare. Go look at the flare, my friend. Stay over there, please. Thank you. You see me. I will piss. Looks like there's another access panel over there, but I still don't quite understand what the fuck those are for. I mean, it told me what they're for, but I haven't found the practicality of it yet. And I feel like using this will get me killed. Hey, can I get this guy? Can I get this guy? Please, can I get this guy? Can I get this guy? You don't have a sneak attack noise! Oh my god. Just activated this flare. Guys, I'm gonna kill you! Cause you told me there was a sneak attack! Oh my fucking god, you stupid dweeb! So fucking bad. Well, at least I killed one of them. Or restore power. Are they all over there? Did they all move over there because I killed the guy? Didn't seem like I could loot his revolver either. I guess I just have to find that at like a preordained space. Yeah, they're still over there. Didn't mean to activate the fucking second flare. I just did that out in a panic.
I think they were over there.
Well, let's see if we can get the jump on this other guy. Making too much distance between them is a bad idea because I don't have a fucking gun.
Maybe they've gone.
Yes, get closer. Yes. Oh, you guys are so close together.
We know you can hear us.
Stop sticking close to each other. Split up. Split up so I can kill you. Wait, I can go over there. Yeah, let's just go over there. Just leave their dead friend to just bleed out over there. Okay, we did it. So yeah, I just had to throw a flare.
Hey, I think she went downstairs.
What?
Come on.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not going down there. No way.
No, don't come down here.
Hack tool.
It didn't work. We'll find another way out. We've been here too long
Yeah,
already.
go away. Leave me alone. Fuck off. I'll bonk you on the head. Okay, well, they didn't follow me. That's good. What the fuck was that? Okay, I don't think that was anything. Hello? Oh, save point. Oh, save point. Yo, look at him go. Hmm. Okay. I'm not going over there just yet, I guess. It's locked, so I don't have to. And there was a loud noise, and I don't like that either. I don't like the loud noise. What do you mean device invalid? Okay. I mean, this is red, so yeah, clearly it's locked. Is there a battery inside that room that I missed? Gone! Yeah! I have the power of God! How do I open the radio menu? The Q? Oh, it is. Okay, so I still punch with that. Now I have gun. Yeah! Yeah, I'm gonna get revenge. You bitches are so fucking dead. They locked me in here! They fucking locked me in here! Are you kidding me? I can't even get sweet, sweet revenge? Fine, whatever. Revenge is stupid. Revenge is a cycle. Revenge is overrated. Nobody likes revenge. Like, come on, you turn the other cheek. You be a good boy. You don't get revenge, because then that means that you might end up hurting other people in the cycle of revenge that you didn't mean to, causing them to want to take revenge against you. You know, live and let die and all that. I'll just save it real quick. Also, Gaz, feel free to let me know when you want to hop on and do your stream. Whenever you do that, I'm gonna make dinner. So, device invalid here. Where the fuck do I go? Is it over there? Is it that green thing? Okay, no, it's back in here, so the green thing would be in this room? Yeah. So blind. Yo. Horse burger. Veggie wrap. Ham baguette. Mega burger. What a horse burger. Okay, there's a key card? What is this key card for? Oh, it's here. In the spooky room with the spooky noise. Is that lore? Did I find lore? Did I find some kind of lore? How do I check that? Oh, like... Oh, I don't know how to look at the lore, so... If there is any. Ooh.
Oh, God.
Goodness. He had a bad time. Search his pockets. Yo, flashbang. Okay. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Yeah, now we're cooking. Where's my mouse? Why does my cursor go away? I'm running into a fair amount of bugs in this game. My cursor is just gone. Bro. Well, I would make a flashbang, but my cursor is currently invisible. Okay. Let me change the screen type and then see if that fixes it. Nope, cursor is still gone. Rate of assembly, why? I'll reload once I get to a save point. Actually, I can just go back in there and save and reload. server or cursor reappear. Why? Why is it gone? Oh my god. Let me restart the game, I guess. Okay, cursor back. Cursor back. Cursor back. Yippee! I did it! Made a thingy. I'll make a few of those, actually. Oh, that's a fucking... That is a, like... Crazy man in the woods ass flashbang.
Oh god. The flight recorder.
We found it.
What? What? No! God damn it! Okay. Okay.
Angry.
Stay focused.
Angry. What? What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? Okay. Is anything happening? Is this game doing this to me again? Yo, data cell.
Okay. One working access tuner.
It is. This game loves doing that, where it's like nothing's happening and it's just like and it's like all you're doing is like pressing a couple buttons.
Let's try this thing out.
Whoa. Yeah. It's aura farming, yeah. Yeah, you know what? I don't understand the hype of Alien Isolation. It's all aura farming. It's all hype moments in aura. You know, Poppy's playtime, that's where it's at. There's some real substance there. I mean, I would read the ID tag if I could, if you even are supposed to. But oh, smoke bomb. Neat. I don't have enough for it. Big chunky revolver. Okay. Go ahead and save real quick. All this intense music is gonna give me a fucking heart attack.
Give me a break.
It's this one, and it's this one, and it's this one. You know what? Now is the time to just read some lore. Chief, good news is that I'm about 80% through archiving Sevastopol's internal mail system for decommissioning. It's been disconnected from Apollo, but I've left basic messaging system in place for people still here. The bad news is whoever set it up in the first place skimped on the hardware, and we've had a few leaks. I've got Mike Tanaka looking into it now. He's a specialist archive we called in. Seems like he knows his shit. Just thought I'd give you a heads up in the meantime. Space station that nobody needed, run by a company we all forgot. Sevastopol's now a backwater. The population is a tenth of the station's optimal capacity. Docking bays are empty, and shutters are down on local stores and businesses. The orders for 6 and cheaply manufactured androids have long since dried up. And the antiquated Apollo governing AI system frequently malfunctions. How did we get here? More importantly, where have the billions of dollars of investment gone? My name is Julia Jones, and I have lived on Sevastopol for 2 months compiling the report for the Colonial Times, discovering the price of our second-tier corporations have paid for the overexpansion during the race into the Outer Rim. Wow. Audio. Audio? There's nothing there. Shoot the computer. Shoot the computer. Kill technology. Kill technology. Kill. Give me. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow. Whoa, that scared me. This game loves its like little shortcuts like that. I mean, I'm sure it'll come in handy whenever I'm dealing with like the alien and stuff, so I'm not complaining, mind you. Oh, it's just like a little loot goblin room. Little pack rat room. Beep 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 beep. Did I miss something in the other room? Beep 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 beep. I mean, it would probably be this room, seeing as how there's like... Yep. Okay, hello! Hi! Mm-hmm. Oh, goodbye! Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no! No, no, no. Oh, okay. We're A-okay. We're A-okay. We're A-okay. We're A-okay. We are A-okay. Mm-mm. Nah. No. Nope. Mm-mm. Okay. I don't like it. Okay, we're fine. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. I feel like my revenge might not happen, seeing as how that, like, shooting these men with guns would probably alert the alien to my presence. I would like to shoot these stupid nerds, but... Why? Oh my god. Fucking immaculate comedic timing there. I did hear him. Oh. Hello? Are you? Oh! What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay. Oh, fucking... Yeah, it seems like all our friends are gone anyway. Okay, it's this one. It's this one, and it's this one. Okay, we did it.
All visitors must report to reception.
Okay. Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Hello? My name's Ripley. Amanda Ripley. I need your help.
Please take a seat. Someone will be with you shortly.
No wonder Seegson is losing the tech race.
I don't see the issue. I could take a seat. Huh. 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 So does air purification, like, kill people? I mean, I would like door access.
You can trust our working Joes. Always there, always helpful, always working for you. Our synthetics are made to be simple. No emotional simulations, no life quality. They just work for you, so you can get on with your life in perfect peace of mind. Working Joes. Brilliantly simple, and simply brilliant.
I'm sure they're friends, right? I'm sure you're all buddies. I'm sure we're all gonna be good pals. Hey, man.
Can I help you?
I need to get into comms control. It's urgent.
That is a restricted area.
It's an emergency. Don't you realize what's going on?
Apollo has the situation in hand. Your registration is almost complete.
Forget it. I'll find my own way in.
Yeah, I don't need you. Oh yeah, why don't you advise it, you stupid fucking nerd? What's gonna happen? Trust the blue northern lion. Fact, what if I fucking hit you, huh? When are we getting our Acerbald? We're not getting a Acerbald. It's never gonna happen. Never in your wildest dreams. Chargeback? So that's... Oh, that's one of the setup. No, it is. What are charge packs used to craft? Flashbang? No. Medkit? No? Okay, well. I don't need that. Tantalize me with your seductively removable hair, but deny me your baldness. Shameful. I mean, everybody's hair is fucking removable.
Some kind of tracker. It's been modified.
Ah!
Is there a problem?
No.
No, no problem.
I want to save points so I can see what happens if I just attack this guy. Yeah, but you're especially baldable. Why? Why am I especially baldable? Hughes, I put on a manual lock on the door leading upstairs. Don't want any accidents until we figure out what's going on here, Chief. Error cannot send. Our manifesto. We don't want to show you a new world. We discover it with you here at Seegson. Every technology, every research project and discovery is driven to find real world applications that help you. We hope you'll join us for the journey. Together tomorrow, Seegson's Journey into Colonial Space and Official History by Sebastian Sieg. First printed on Eye of Seegson. 2030 changed everything. The advent of faster life and travel put Seegson, then known as Sieg and Son, on the path to success. The race into space began in earnest, and under the steady hand of our founder, Hosea Sieg, our company was primed and ready for the years that followed. Sieg and Son built the components that enabled ships to extend colonial space beyond the Sol system. As history relates, Wayland Corp was reluctant to share its FDL technologies with other corporations. Fortunately, Hosea Sieg was on hand to speculate, innovate, and produce. Without Sieg and Son, the skies would have looked very different indeed. Seductive and baldable? Why?
Marie, if you get this, I'm making my way to Seegson Communications now. I didn't wake you because I knew you'd try and stop me. Please understand, this is our best shot. Someone has got to reestablish communications. We need to make sure the officials back at home know what's going on here. Don't worry about me. I'll be back. I'm not going to leave you and Claire alone.
Okay. Yeah, let me open the door. Okay, I wouldn't mind wrapping up here shortly because I'm actually getting pretty hungry. Let me see, how long have I been going on for? About almost 3 hours, so it wouldn't be a terrible time to wrap up. And there's a save point. Yahoo! Alright, let me save this, and I want to go see what happens if I go shoot that fucking Joe in the face. I don't like the way he was looking at me. And you know what? I got something for him. There he is. Hey man. Hey man. You know what? You know what I think of you? You know what I fucking think of you? Hey. Hey. Get down. You have to press a button for each bullet? That's crazy. No. Yeah, nerd. Take that. Okay, chat, I'm hungry. This was fun. I'll definitely have to play more. Bye.